everyone! So I decided to do my final project on human trafficking. I didn't go as much the conventional route because I wanted to address the labor side of trafficking. When people typically think of human trafficking, they think of sexual slavery and prostitution. But the reality of it is that 68% of people who are trafficked, they're being trafficked for labor. So for my execution of activism, I decided to be more conscious in my consumption. When I went grocery shopping, I decided to research every brand that I was buying, make sure it's coming from an ethical company that wasn't employing human trafficking labor practices. So boycotting a company is honestly an effective form of activism, and as the common saying goes, we vote with our wallets. The list of brands with trafficked labor are really large and diverse, so it's really important to check the brands and the company, because you can't always tell what brand comes from a company. So clothing and technology companies such as Adidas, Apple, Amazon, Gap, H&M, Microsoft, Sony, all those things are employing trafficked labor. And then food brands, like very popular food brands like Hershey, Oreo, Quaker Oats, Cheerios, Ben & Jerry's, that kind of thing, they're also guilty of utilizing trafficked labor. So for my visual presentation, I decided to go shopping and film the brands I'll no longer be buying and talk about the importance of reading labels. So I chose this topic because women and children are disproportionately affected by human trafficking in both the sex trade and the labor trade. Trafficked women are a preferred labor supply because they can be hired for very low pay, no benefits, job guarantees, or social security. And they're targeted by transnational corporations because women are viewed as docile, they're desperate for work, and they lack legal literacy to get themselves out of those situations. But a lot of times they're subject to a range of abuses, and this includes forced confinement, food deprivation, an excessive workload, and instances of severe psychological, physical, and sexual abuse. It's important to talk about this topic because it's happening under our noses every day, and we can prevent ourselves from being complicit in it. The more we become conscious consumers, the more we can do for people being trafficked. I love my shopping trip. My favorite creamer is actually made by Nestle, so time to get a new creamer. This is another reason to read the labels. I always thought Silk was its own company, but it's actually owned by Dannon, which is one of the worst companies for forced labor. Almost everything you see here is a product of trafficked labor. Never heard of this company Upfield before, so I did have to Google it in the store, but it's known as a pretty ethically sourced company, so I'll be getting this. Another case of things I can't eat anymore: Dove, Ben & Jerry's, and Magnum, because they all are a result of trafficked labor. So I usually buy the Green Giant cauliflower rice, but Green Giant and Bird's Eye are canceled, so I'm just gonna buy the regular Target brand this time. Another big bummer, I usually buy these and I just found out they're owned by Kellogg. Water person at both AHA and Perrier are places that use forced labor, so I'm buying Waterloo because it's its own company. I buy Quaker Oats, but this time I'm just gonna buy this one because it's a small brand. Generally kind of a rule of thumb that small brands aren't going to be using trafficked labor, so if you can't really tell what's on the label or like what company it comes from, just go for the small brand. This is another bad one: horrendous human rights violations. So there were definitely some disappointments in my shopping trip. There were certain items that I really love and I've been using for a long time, but didn't realize they were owned by certain companies. So I will be changing those habits, but there are a million brands out there and there are a lot that aren't employing labor trafficking. And as I said in my video before, small businesses are usually the way to go. While it did take me a really long time to research these things and shop for them because I also had to research in the store, I think going forward I'll be able to pick up the brands that I'm boycotting and just remember that, and it'll get easier and easier each time. While grocery shopping seems like a kind of insignificant form of activism, if we're using our collective voices, we can make a change. It's important to be conscious consumers so we know what companies we're supporting and who we're giving money to. And it's really important for us to support small businesses and companies that don't employ any forms of trafficking. So all I can ask is everyone research what you're buying.